right, here we are all together. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the 27th episode of When the Heart Leads. I'm your host, Dr. Kate Newburgh, founder of Books of Eden Publishing, and I'm overjoyed to be with you all today. You may, if you're tuning in, you may hear I'm in the middle of just this absolutely gorgeous thunderstorm right now. So you may hear some thunder, some lightning, some rain. It just feels like such a beautiful environment to be recording this in. So the title of this episode is Images. And I realized as I was kind of going through some of the upcoming events I have that I haven't actually discussed a lot of my own craft and my own craft of healing and how I work with people. And that came about because I am going to be presenting in a beautiful conference put on by Imagery International. And I think I'm one of 6 presenters in the whole conference. So um, it's a really intimate space. Essentially, if you go, you kind of go, it's all virtual, but if you attend, you kind of get to experience everybody. And I'm really working on this lifting up of the still small voice, and that's a really big part of kind of how I lift up the inner wisdom, or how I work with people that lift up their inner wisdom. Anyway, I mentioned that I have a few guest passes. So by the way, I still have some. So if you're tuning in and you're interested in this, just reach out. And then someone reached out and said, well, I'm really curious to know how imagery can heal people. And I suddenly realized that I had never really explained that before. And it has been such a huge part of my healing journey that I thought having a whole episode on how I've healed through imagery, and how I work with it as a healing modality could be really powerful. So, I'm going to try to discuss this in a way where I keep it pretty simple, because there's a lot of esoteric knowledge about it. There's a lot of writers and thinkers about it. But I want to kind of talk about it in a way, because ultimately the healing, working with images as a modality for healing and empowerment is, it's supposed to be pretty natural and pretty simple. And so I'm going to be talking a lot about this. I just want to say this has really, really worked for me. And it's something I just love working with. But if it's not calling to you, there's no pressure in this being your healing modality, right? So this is just a way for you to explore it, maybe learn a little bit about it, but there's no pressure for you to know what it is. So let's start really simply. So you have the conscious mind, and I'm just looking at kind of these two areas. You have the conscious mind, your waking mind, your aware mind, and then you have the subconscious mind, right? And that's everything that's kind of under a lot of underneath your awareness. And as most of us know who have been doing this work, we know that the subconscious mind is actually the major driver of your life. So the decisions you make, the ways that you move in the world, the people you're with, like everything in your life, it's pretty much all influenced by the subconscious mind. And um the thing with the subconscious is it's this kind of, one of my teachers likes to talk about it as an ocean, a deep, deep ocean. And so there's fathomless depths to it. And you can't really command the subconscious mind. You can't force it, you can't reason with it. And I'll be talking a little bit more about this later. But you must enter into it and work with it and allow it to teach you and move you. And so one of my favorite analogies is, if you have a boat, right, a big boat with a lot of rowers, your conscious mind is kind of the one that's directing the boat. So they're at the bowsprit, they're looking out, they're saying go this way, go that way, and then you've got all these rowers, and your rowers are the subconscious mind. And they could be rowing in all sorts of different directions. Some could be rowing backwards, they could be rowing at different directions, different speeds. And so even though your conscious mind knows where you want to go, your subconscious mind might not be fully aligned with that. And so a lot of the work I do with imagery is to help kind of get everybody, you could say everybody rowing in the right direction at the right speed, like have it all aligned. Um, and so really tapping into your subconscious mind as an ally and as a very, um, very powerful source of inspiration and movement and momentum is it's an extremely potent way to begin to align your life in the direction that you want that you want to go. However, it takes, in my experience, it takes taken some really sometimes counterintuitive tools to be able to do that. Um, and the reason for that is our subconscious mind doesn't respond to rational, linear, verbal interaction. The language of the subconscious is imagery, archetype, feeling, right? All of these you could call almost like feminine modalities of knowing the world or of experiencing the world. That's how the subconscious mind communicates. And that's how the subconscious mind receives communication. So that's kind of how you can get in touch with it. And I'm talking again about images, right? Emotions, feeling states, body states, all these things, right? These are all ways that you can communicate with your subconscious. If you think about a dream, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about this later, but dreams are the language of the subconscious, and they don't always, rarely do they make sense. Rarely are they straightforward, right? But there's a lot of powerful archetypal wisdom in our dreams if we choose to work with them. Right, but if you think about the nonsensical ways of dreams, that is how the subconscious operates, right? And this is the influence over kind of the way you live your life and the way you move through your life. Um, so the way that I work in this healing is by offering these kinds of healing, archetypal, powerful images to interface with the subconscious and begin to align it, to heal it, to clear it, right? Because there's a lot of times there's a lot of stuff built into the subconscious, built up in the subconscious, that's layered over what we really know to be true and how we want to live our lives. Um, so again, you can't use your rational mind to command your subconscious. It just won't work. We need a different modality. So, so my work, right, when I work with people, uh, my ultimate goal is always to create empowerment and clarity. I am not interested in layering anything back over your own innate wisdom. My whole goal is to lift up what it is that you already know to be true, to delayer, decondition, peel away the stuff that is kind of in the way of you accessing that deep truth of the heart, of the knowing of the soul. And then when those truths arise, to begin to work with them, to access them, to trust them, right? So I've called this many things as I'm working with people. I've called it guided meditation. I've called it shamanic journeys, intuitive writing, right? These are all different ways of kind of accessing that deep knowing of the subconscious and that deep alignment of the subconscious. So I want to mention quickly, I want to bring up this beautiful quote from, she's kind of the teacher of my teacher. So you may have heard me talk about Colette Albuquerque Muscat before. And she's a powerful lineage holder of this healing through imagery. And she operated in Jerusalem, and in her time, and you can look her up. I'll discuss some of her books, but in her time, people would just kind of go to where she lived in Jerusalem, and she would offer them healing images. And because, as you'll see, because the subconscious, because the images are operating outside of linear time, oftentimes when she worked with them, their healing could be rapid, almost, or even instantaneous, right? And then there's a lot of layers here because if you've followed my work, if you've read my books, you know that I see that all aspects of the body are connected. So we have the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body, and the physical body. And I see all of these as perfect holograms of each other. So when you're healing something in the emotional body, you will see, for instance, you will see that ripple out into your mental, your spiritual, and your physical body as well. So even though we're working maybe on this level of the subtle bodies when we're working with images, it can have a tremendous effect on your physical life, on your emotional life, on your spiritual life, right? Your connection with spirit, your connection with um, your own mental clarity. All these things are all connected. So the reason I'm talking about this is that when Colette works with people, maybe she would work with them on the subtle planes, but oftentimes she would see instantaneous physical healing as well with them. So this can happen, right? Or it can set that in motion. So I had this quote from her from one of her, she had very few books. She mostly worked in person with people. Some of her students collected a lot of her healing images and imagery in books. She had one book called Mea Culpa, The Tales of Resurrection. And in this, I just thought it was the most beautiful description of the image and how the image works. And I'm actually reading this in my book, The New Eden Paradise Retold. And this is on page 122 to begin. There's this part, this book has two parts. And this quote begins the second part because in the second part of this book, we begin to enter into these deep archetypal healing journeys through guided meditation, through image. So I wanted to introduce it with one of the greatest teachers I've ever been introduced to. So this is the quote that I used for that to help describe images. So I said, the image is the language of dreams and of life within. Right? And as I say, this is Colette Albuquerque Muscat writing this. So I drew this quote from her book. The image is the language of dreams and of life within. The image is sovereign life. The image is the magic of space and the perfect instant, a moment outside of linear time that builds one luminous point after another, a time that is vertical in duration. The image is life which comes to help life, and it is the movement of life that starts life moving again. I propose to live some of those instants where the reversing of a desperate situation takes place before our eyes through an image. Close your eyes, breathe out, and imagine. There's a lot to that quote. There's a lot to it, but really what I want to kind of focus on is the ways that an image can move into, work with your subconscious, and then begin to shift you. It's life coming to help life, right? So we may feel like we're stuck. That when she talks about the desperate situation, right? She has worked with people in some of the most heartrending circumstances, and she's moved in, and with images she's begun to shift and change their experience. And she's begun to help to heal all of the patterning, the conditioning, the illnesses, the blockages that have thus far kind of stood in their way of living their most empowered life. So when we are sinking into that deep knowing of the body and of the heart, right? The image can help lift that up into our waking consciousness. And I want to talk about this for a moment in the language of dreams, or through the idea of dreams. So we have our sleeping dreams, right? Oh, and as I'm saying that, the wind is just picking up. Like this is a big, whew, this is a big one. So we're talking about dreams, right? So your sleeping dreams provide an offering from your subconscious for you to work with. And you might say, I don't remember my dreams, I don't have dreams, right? But as soon as I personally started turning toward my dreams as a mechanism for healing, I began experiencing the most incredible things. And wow, we are being shaken all over by the wind right now. So we're in a really interesting space to be talking about this. Um, I began to as soon as I consciously started working with my dreams, I began to inhabit those dreams, my sleeping dreams. And at night I would go in, and over time I was able to start, through intention, I was able to start working with the dreams lucidly. So coming alive within the dreams, coming awake and aware within the dreams. And through that practice, I began to be able to work with control, command. I would say more so than control, I would begin to command my environment within the dreams. And what I discovered was that the more my confidence grew in my ability to command my environment within the dreams, the more everything just began to happen instantaneously. And I believe that I've experienced a number of healing processes within my sleeping dreams. That there was one deeply powerful initiation where I was able to command, like summon consciously into my hand a crystal. And then I used the energy of that crystal to create something. This happened in a dream. And then within the dream, I was able to feel the tactile presence of that thing that I had created with the crystal, right? And the more I began working with my dreams in this way, the more my doubt began to dissolve about my ability to be empowered. So if we look at our sleeping dreams and begin to work with those in that way, we begin to become empowered. The magic of what we're capable of creating begins to blossom forward in our knowing. Then what began to happen was I began to see this outer life, this waking life, as well as a type of dream, a different type of dream. And using what I had learned within the sleeping dreams, I was able to start to bring a greater level of empowerment, of command, of intention to my waking life. So every morning, I start my day. Oh, are you hearing this storm? This is crazy. um, every morning I start my day with meditation and I receive visions. So I receive the visions as images and as body feelings and as all these archetypal things. I receive it as a living dream. And the visions lift up to me a deeper wisdom, a deeper truth than I maybe had been otherwise aware of. And so the receiving of the visions, the sitting with the visions, the contemplation of the visions has all allowed me to begin to have more empowerment and command over my waking life and more awareness of what is going on in my life, right? Sometimes I encounter a difficult situation and I wonder what this is, right? I wonder how to work with it. And so I'll move into meditation, I'll receive visions, I'll receive images that help me work with it as a tool for growth, as a tool for empowerment, as a tool for command. And I have never found a situation in my life where this doesn't work, right? Sometimes it takes time and trust and growth, but it is always the first place I turn to. And so when I work with others, my intention is always to co-create, to find that image that is most resonant, that will shift in an instant everything that needs to be moved or shift or dissolved or blocked. And will shift in an instant so that that opening happens, that revelation happens to a deeper truth, to a deeper knowing. And it's hard to explain what happens when I work with people because as I link up with them, I feel your energy. I feel sometimes in my own body where the blockages are. And I receive the kinds of visions that help move you through whatever it is that is confusing you or blocking you or stopping you, right? It's when I say I have a number of different names for this: guided meditation, shamanic healing, intuitive writing, right? It's really just all different ways of saying when I work with others in this way, I'm able to receive spontaneously kind of the vision, the knowing, um, the image, the journey that will most unlock what needs to be unlocked or raise up the truth that's ready to be seen. Because we are not always ready to see all our truths all at once, right? But oftentimes there is a truth that's ready to be surfaced and witnessed. Um, and so just another big point of this is to talk about how we really cannot access the subconscious through the linear rational mind, right? It doesn't work. It won't respond. It's a different language, right? So when we're really interested in aligning, healing, orienting, clearing our subconscious so that it begins to align with our most empowered, most fulfilling life, right? We need to use a different modality to get in there and work with it. And what I've discovered is that through these healing images, these healing journeys, the receiving of my own heart's wisdom, right, in different ways, being open to that coming in different ways, that has been what's been allowed me to shift and change and move through my life in an empowered way. And so, as a quick example, as I was working with a teacher on this, she discovered we discovered together some like almost like I had this very heavy armor. And as she was talking about it, as the image came forward, I could almost feel it on my body. And so here's an example of a clearing, right? That helped me um, kind of open, open in a new way. Was together we removed the armor. And if I'm working with someone, I can often feel in my body, where is the tightness, where is the heaviness, right? And we can go into that place and start removing if there's weights there, if there's a karmic density there, if there's a traumatic experience there, we can begin to lift it up and talk about it, right? So we did that and we removed the armor, and then I was able to fit through a door that led into this powerful garden and sanctuary. And so that was a journey that I needed to be able to see. And oftentimes these will come up many times. So then I'll feel like I can't go there. Well, where am I stuck? Where is the armor? And I take it off. So another really powerful kind of healing image is of the waters and being cleansed and cleared by the waters, and kind of understanding as we're being cleared, what is the energy that's leaving, right? So we can really let it go. So I this podcast episode, I felt like it was going to be maybe a little shorter, and it is because I feel like with the rain and the storm, maybe I'm being guided to kind of bring it to a close. But really, just what I wanted to say is that I want to offer. It's almost like the science or the technology of images, right? Which is a funny way to put it because I was saying it's not a linear, rational thing. But with the way that I work with images and the way that I've been taught and the way that I've received them, and the way that I've received them, there is a kind of technology to it where they're designed to really shift, change, and clear in a deep way the blocks or the misalignment in the subconscious. And so, there's a number of kind of real techniques within the images that have been shown to work over and over and over again, and within the journeys. And these are the things that I employ, that I work with to help others. So, because I know that they've really helped me. So, this episode, if we do a quick recap, you know, we're talking about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and the way to align the conscious mind and the subconscious mind toward a life of deep fulfillment, of empowerment, of self-trust, of knowing, right? The way to align those that I've discovered the best way is to speak the language of the subconscious itself and to intentionally move into the subconscious and work with its language, work with its messages to begin to heal and align it with what we really want and allow it to shift and change up because it is very mysterious in a lot of ways when we start to go into it. So there's an element of surrender, there's an element of healing, there's an element of trust, there's an element of curiosity. Right? What am I going to find today? What am I going to dream about tonight? Right? So, the images, the journeys, the ways that activate, you could say, the right side of the brain, that place, the feminine archetype images, emotional states, the feeling of the body, the feelings, right? All of that. These are ways that we can begin to work with our subconscious so that it aligns with our conscious mind in what we really want to create, to become, create in the world. And this is the craft that I have been working with for years and years and years now, and the one that I offer, and the one that I offer. So just some simple practices, some simple practices. You could start on your own tonight. So make a request of your subconscious before you go to sleep tonight that it offers you a dream, and that the dream will offer you maybe an answer or some clarity or something on something it is that you're thinking about, that you're working with, right? Just ask your subconscious before you fall asleep. And then see what happens, right? If you have a dream, take a moment to record it or write it down as soon as you wake up from it, right? Then once your subconscious knows you're listening, it's going to keep offering you new wisdom, new ideas, new images for you to work with. So just try that and see what happens. See what happens. Just take one step in, right? You might surprise yourself at maybe you haven't remembered a dream for 10 years, but you make that request of your subconscious and suddenly you're given something, a really powerful truth or piece of clarity or something that allows you to heal. Just try that. See what happens. There's a lot of magic with this. All right. This has been the 27th episode of When the Heart Leads. I'm your host, Dr. Kate Newburgh, founder of Books of Eden Publishing. I think I said everything I wanted to say. This might be just the beginning, right? Just the beginning of sharing kind of this craft that I've been really working on honing over the years, and this really worked for me for healing. But we'll leave it there for now. So, I am the author of 2 books so far, and these books are chock full, you could say, of a lot of these healing images, a lot of these archetypal images that are designed to move and shift and change the subconscious. So for more information on that, you can go to my website, booksofeden.com. And I will be presenting at Imagery International in October, and that's a virtual conference. The theme is birthing a new world through imagery, and I do still have 2 guest passes, I believe, available, totally free. So if this is something you're interested in, healing through images, learning how to work with images, learning how to work with that dreaming mind, right? Please feel free to reach out and let me know. I still have 2 guest passes available to that. So if you have any questions or you're interested in working with me, you can reach out through my website or email me admin@booksofeden.com. And yeah, I would love to talk with you about the kind of life you're dreaming of and what you would like to create. So, all right, this has been the 27th episode of When the Heart Leads. I'm your host, Dr. Kate Newburgh, signing off. From my heart to yours, till next time.